What is Cristiano Ronaldo like to mark?
Waiting for you to just look away for 1 second. So he scored some goals against me where I've literally looked over my shoulder to see where the other centre half is, and he's nipped off. He waits for those moments. Ball comes, bang, he's gone. He's
Too
off
late.
to the corner flag. Yeah, the next time you see him, he's in the.
He's already off at the corner flag celebrating. Unlucky. Hello everybody, welcome to another Fozcast. Today, my shirt, like when I was wearing the Birmingham one a few weeks ago, is a bit of a giveaway of who we have got in on the pod today. Before we get into that, Tom, how are you, my friend?
Yes, I am good, mate. All good. We had a good weekend, didn't we? Because you were back in sticks.
Yes, I was back in sticks. My first Premier League game in just over a year.
Yeah.
You came to the game, you enjoy it?
Mate, it was class.
It was class, wasn't it?
Do you know what? VAR's like, obviously, everyone's saying it's ruining the game and stuff. That's the first time I've been at a game. VAR was there, and although it slowed the game down, everyone was chanting VAR, and it was actually a bit of a thing. And when the goal got confirmed, everyone went nuts.
I could see, mate. We were on the pitch, right? And actually, somebody who played in that game is alongside me right now. I'm going to introduce him in 1 second, but I played in that game and I was watching you lot, the Watford fans in the away end, and you were bouncing. You were jumping up and down like
people were rolling around on the floor.
Batshit crazy. People rolling around. You could see it, mate. Honestly, it was world class. And like you say, when that third goal went to VAR and everybody's like, hey, the goal was given, belting, weren't it?
Chanting VAR, everyone.
Chanting VAR. Who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? Anyway. Let's bring you on to today's guest. We have got my fellow Watford FC teammate, Will Troost Ekong. William, I think I undersold that. I forgot to say Nigeria captain as well. What a legend. Will, welcome, mate.
Thanks, lads. I'm really happy to be here today. This studio is unbelievable.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
and what a game on the weekend, by the way, as well.
You've just been to our office upstairs. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice. I'm just waiting to see my shirt on the wall, but besides that, it's unbelievable, mate.
Talking of your shirts, I have actually got your shirt on today. Look at this, guys. One sec. Look.
There we go.
Love that.
So William has bought this shirt in today, and it's going to be the first ever giveaway on the Fozcast podcast.
Love it.
Yeah, Will, are you happy to sign this? All right.
Yeah, of course, mate. I couldn't come empty-handed, could I? So
you're a superstar. Yeah. So what we'll do is, okay, at the end of the video, he's going to sign it, obviously. One lucky person is going to win it. All you've got to do is get down in the comments down below, say something nice. Don't say anything bad. We don't do negativity on the Fozcast. Just say something nice. Give the video a like as usual. Well, let's get into it, okay? Right, so I'm just looking at your stats here, okay? You've been around the place.
Yeah, I've been all over the place. Really.
In a football sense.
In a football sense, obviously. So we were just totting up the different countries that you've played in. Mate, so started at Spurs in the academy.
Yeah.
Groningen.
Yeah.
Which is?
In Holland.
Holland, obviously.
I had to just check that.
Ghent, which is Belgium.
Yeah.
Bursaspor, Turkey.
Yeah.
Haugesund on loan in Norway.
Yeah, you missed that one out.
Wow, sorry, mate. Yeah,
that was a key one. Yeah, I love that.
Norway, and then Turkey for Bursaspor, Udinese, Italy, and then you find yourself at Watford.
Back home to Watford.
Mate, that's a crazy journey as a footballer.
Yeah, it's a bit like Football Manager, isn't it? Or like FIFA career mode. Yeah, no, it's been unbelievable, really. Just like all those countries, all the experiences, playing in different leagues. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it. But it's been a long way round. But I'm really happy that I am where I am now because I felt like this was always my goal to come play in the.
So how old are you now?
I'm 28.
28 years old.
Yeah.
So you were in the academy, obviously 16-year-old.
Yeah, 16. I got released when I was 19, turning 20 in the summer, I think.
Talk to me, right? So I think this is a really important thing to talk about. Okay, so you spent so I know people say academy from 16. Yeah. Was it 16 or was it before that?
It was slightly before that. To be fair, I'm one of the ones that was really late in academy football because I actually came to England to study. So I went to a boarding school in Bishop Stortford, which is right next to Stansted Airport. It was a language school, and like the main goal for my parents was literally just for me to learn English and to give myself a better chance in life than where the schools where I was in Holland. So I had a different plan in mind. I wanted to play football, so I thought, okay, this is my opportunity to go.
How well did that go down with the parents?
Not at all. So me and my dad don't really see eye to eye up till today. So there's been quite a bit of a family dispute. Obviously, over the years we've made amends, but it's always been something. I'm a really stubborn person. I think I've got that from him. So he's still very adamant that I should have gone down the
You're
education
Nigeria
route.
captain. Come on,
It's worked
partner.
out all right,
I
hasn't
know
it?
it's worked out all right, but I don't like rubbing it in his face because that's just how it is, isn't it? So no, to be fair, it gave me a bit of like extra firepower to prove my point. So that was actually my story. So I came really late to the academy football. I was only 14 when I got scouted. Really went to Fulham first. Was to be fair, was a bit too far from where I live because I was north of London and Fulham is southwest. And I just used to have to sit on the train for an hour and a half when I was 14 by myself. And it was a bit too much. And then I got my breakthrough because one of the scouts who brought me to Fulham was like, "No, listen, mate, you need to try and go to a club closer to your school where I was, so you can choose." He was like, "Do you want to go to Spurs or to Arsenal?" And I was like, "I'll try Spurs." And then after a trial there, I think it was supposed to be 6 weeks. That's what the normal trials are like. After 2 weeks, they're like, "No, we need to sign you." So I was like over the moon. I couldn't believe my luck. And that was, to be fair, was the start of my like professional football journey. So it was amazing. Then obviously becoming a scholar at an academy, you know how that goes. And you think you kind of made it, but you're still miles off it. And and then that was like my journey into professional football, really.
So that's the bit so this here is the bit that I want to talk about because I never did academy, so I don't know what this feels like. But I can imagine that if you've spent the best part of probably 5 or 6 years dreaming the big dream, you're going to be a footballer, you're going to earn the money, you're going to be famous, all that kind of stuff, and then you get released at 19 years old. What does that feel like? How does that happen? Yeah. What does it feel like? How do you bounce back from that?
It was like it was the worst thing really because your dreams kind of shatter. Also because I feel like at that stage in life you are still like finding your feet as a teenager. Everybody knew me now as the kid that left my school to go and play academy football at Spurs.
So like the famous one, you were the famous one kind of thing.
Yeah, famous. I mean, in the sense of like within my friendship group and like my local town, Bishop Stortford, I was a kid that went to Spurs. And then obviously when you're then 19 and get released, it's almost like your bubble just gets burst. So besides your ego taking like a massive hit, you also don't really know what to do after that. So for me, it was even more difficult because my dad was like, "No, I want you to go to sixth form at university." And then getting released was almost like, yeah, he was right in some sense.
I told you so.
Yeah, with that though, Will, so did you know it was coming? So or was it a case of the end of the season and they say sit you down and go, you're either going to be kept on or you're not? How does that work?
To be fair, for some players it might have been a bit more dubious, but for me in my last year I didn't really play too much because we had Tim Sherwood as my under 23 manager. And I think after like 2 or 3 games quite early in the season he just didn't really fancy me as a player, so he tried to get me a club in January. Fair to say to them. But I wasn't too happy with the club that I came with, so I was like adamant I want to stay here and prove, still try and prove my point. So at that time I already knew kind of maybe 4 months before the end of that season my contract was going to be up and they probably weren't going to renew it unless some magic happened. I kind of felt it coming, but I still wanted to really make the most of my opportunity there. So
when you go to Groningen, so it's important to know, so Dutch mum, Nigerian dad, is that right?
Yeah, correct.
So how do you then end up at Groningen?
So I then, having been released, I flew back home to Holland. I left my digs where I was at, packed all my stuff, got rid of my car that I was leasing at the time, I think.
Did you do the Aguero thing and like just go into the canteen and say, someone have my Lambo?
I don't think I would.
It was a Range Rover anyway.
Range Rover, sorry.
He had a raffle, didn't he?
Yeah. Kitman won it, didn't it? It's world class, I love it.
I could have raffled off like my Air Force Ones or something like that. I don't think there was a lot to my name. So, I think anyone would have probably taken over my debt on the car, if anything. So, it was very unglamorous. Packed up my stuff, left, went back home. And because I'd made 1 or 2 appearances for the under-19s for Holland and under-20s by this time, I think I was just before the under-20s, I knew that was kind of where people would know me and I'd have some kind of...
Have a chance.
Yeah, have a chance. Especially because some of the boys that I was playing with were already playing first team football in Holland. So, through my agent at the time, I got a trial at Groningen and they had just sold Virgil van Dijk to Celtic and 1 or 2 other players, centre-backs. So they were looking for a number of centre-backs. And I kind of came in as a 19, 20-year-old boy to be part of the squad and like earn your stripes. So I wasn't arriving there to be like a first team player, play everything from the get-go. But obviously, I was more than happy with that chance. Professional contract in the top league, in a good team, and an opportunity to like improve.
Chance to start again, basically.
So was that going back home or leaving home?
It was a bit of both, to be fair, because obviously coming over to England as a 12-year-old boy, England was my home. And by that time I was already with my partner Molly, who I met just after leaving school before I signed Spurs. So I had a lot going on there. And obviously my teenage friends were all the boys that I spent hours and hours with in the changing room. So leaving England in some sense was also like leaving home.
Yeah.
But it was back to familiar territory, which was also quite strange because the last time I really lived in Holland, I was 11 years old. So you know people still from your neighbourhood and stuff like that, but it's not like I really had school friends there in that sense. So it was a bit of both, to be honest. As you probably know, as part of my chameleon kind of personality character.
Can you speak Dutch, by the way?
Yeah, Dutch is my first language. So
Shush up. Wow. You mentioned agents there a minute ago. I just want to. That's another question I want to ask actually. When you're that age, sort of 19, how do you go about getting an agent?
They kind of come, especially playing at Tottenham Hotspur at the time, they kind of were lurking around at like the youth team games because they were obviously trying to spot the next talent. So you kind of get approached by a few of them.
Is it literally as simple as that? After the game, they will come over to you and say, I've got this player, I've got that player, come with me.
Yeah, they'll hand you a business card, or they'll try and find your mum or dad on the touchline, or they might have a player already who will then try and get your number. So there's always a few that would probably be interested just because of the standard of academy where you're at. But as a young player, you don't know anything about that. So I remember coming in and talking to our academy manager, like, I've got an agent now. He was like, mate, what have you got an agent for? You think I'm going to give you £10 more in your scholarship? No chance. Like, he's like, get rid of him now. Yeah. So it was like quite an interesting, different view of it because they were obviously sick and tired of seeing these agents trying to squeeze out a few more quids for their players.
It's interesting though, Will, isn't it? Because you might argue that are they trying to have an easy life with the player rather than someone getting in the way? You know, are they going to get a better deal or?
Yeah, I think it probably depends who gives you that advice.
Yeah.
Now looking back from all those years, John McDermott, the guy who gave me that advice, was probably very genuine at the time, and he could see that there was no point because a pair of free boots to sign with an agent.
Is that what it was?
Well, they give you like maybe not even a boot deal, but they give you some boots, or they'll like take you out for dinner here and there, and they'll just like come and watch your games.
They're waiting for the deal, the big one, aren't they? They're waiting for the move.
They are just literally spread betting and just waiting because in our youth team we had like we had Harry Kane, we had like a few players. So I mean, whoever jumped on him first was, you know, I mean, think about it now.
Hold on, but again, sorry, I love this because as you're talking, I keep thinking of new questions because you're talking about new things. Harry Kane, you talked about Harry Kane there, okay? Where I remember playing against Harry Kane when I was at West Brom, and it was one of his first few Tottenham matches, right? And I remember this young kid coming on, and I was thinking, actually, he's all right, him, to be fair. I think he actually scored a goal past me, whatever. But a lot of people have told me anyway in the past that Harry Kane in the youth team at Tottenham, and even coming up through the ranks in Tottenham, you could never, ever have seen this happening. He was a decent player. He had a chance. He could have done something. But to be the player that he was then to what he is now, a lot of people have told me, I just couldn't see that.
I could have seen it. No, I'm joking. No chance. No. I think people have told you that 100% right. I think in that time we had some players that were more outstanding at that age than he was. But the one thing that I will never forget about is how persistent he was on improving himself. And he was always the one who spent a lot of time after training doing finishing, working on his free kicks. And he was just very driven and in his he had his own ideas and just wanted to like be the best from a very young age. So I've got to give all credit to him because I feel everything that he's done now, he's maximised his ability like completely 100%.
I love that because he's had some loans. He's been out on loan to all sorts. There's pictures of him sitting on the bench at Leicester. You know what I mean? The other teams like
and
that.
Those are his good loans. I mean, he's been Leyton Orient, all those clubs. He climbed his way up, and at Spurs at the time, same. I think the biggest example was probably Andros Townsend, who had like 9 loans before he made his Spurs debut. and because you could have like a month loan because you're still a youth player. That is what we were trying to do. So you tried to play a good game with the youth team or the reserve team, hoping that there would be a manager from a League One or League Two team watching there, just to get you a chance to get into like a.
So at that age, you just want to go and play.
That's what you wanted
football.
to do. Like if you went on loan, we were like, "Oh, nice one, mate! Like congrats." It wasn't necessarily even thinking about trying to get to the first team. That was like miles off, and we knew that. So the players who kind of went on loan as early as 16, 17 were normally the ones that had the biggest head start. And that was where you would earn your stripes really to come back and then be like, okay, you're a little bit closer to the first team.
Well,
now,
mate,
a little bit closer
all
to
you
the
got to
first
do
team.
is look at your rap sheet of teams, mate. It speaks for itself. Honestly, mine is completely different to yours, but it's on a very similar sort of wavelength where I could name you some of the teams I've been out on loan to, you'd have never heard of them, mate. Never heard of them. Tiverton Town, Stafford Rangers. Have you heard of these teams?
No.
Never heard of these teams, right? I didn't care. I was 19 years old, 20 years old. I just wanted to play first team football. And it didn't matter where it was, right? As long as there was something on the line and it wasn't a resi match, a reserve team match where there's nobody watching and it doesn't matter the result. It's all about growth and all that kind of stuff. No, I'm not having it. You've got to be put out there in front of people waiting and watching, haven't you?
That is exactly it. And I felt the one thing that I learned from my time there, even though I never went on loan really, is that I knew you had to try and climb the leagues. So that was like my mentality when I went to Norway, different places where people are like, oh, why are you going there for? It's because I knew I'm going to get a good chance of playing first team football regularly. The league is slightly better when I've been last year, and I think if you see like every year I tried to like make a jump. It's
a logical move every year.
It's brave though.
It makes sense,
mate. How brave is that? Going like when
Turkey one's interesting.
When you're 20 when you went out to Norway, 21.
I was 22, I think. Yeah.
Going out to Norway by yourself.
Molly joined me for the first time. She just left university, but I was going to go there initially by myself. Yeah,
mate. What's that like? Is that like nervy excitement? Let's give it a go.
It was. The good thing is that I actually went to visit Haugesund and one other team in Sweden, which I knew were like the two candidates for my loan move, because I wanted to meet the people and see what it was like. And at Haugesund, I met Mark Dempsey, who was a Manchester United academy manager. And he was like, Will, I've seen all your clips. I remember you from your time at Spurs. Come here and you're going to play for me all the games. I'm going to make you a better player. Sold. So within like 2 minutes of being there, I don't think he'd even had a sip of his coffee yet. I already knew in my head, like, I'm going to come back here. But I didn't want to give that to them yet because I was still trying to squeeze out a few more bobs, you know what I mean? So
absolutely.
That's how it goes. But I already knew that was the place for me. And and I felt like every time I had that like a gut instinct about somewhere, I was like, okay, I'm going to go. I don't care where it is or what people are going to think about it. This makes sense for me right now. And Mark has been another massive piece of my development. And he gave me the chance to really improve, play a lot, made me captain as a lone player in Norway when I didn't even speak Norwegian yet and stuff like that. And I think the club had one of the best years. We went to the Europa League, and that was like my next thing that propelled me then to moving back to Belgium. So it was like logical steps every time, and not really caring what people think.
I think we need a shout out for Mark Dempsey because
Mark Dempsey's a
because
man.
I think that I know, like, say people like Mark Dempsey, and there's countless others that have helped players. But not only have they helped the players, but I see the way that Will is now at the training ground and the way he helps the young players, not even the young players, any players, the way he talks to them, the way he carries himself. It rubs off on them so much, doesn't it? But I know for a fact you're doing that because you've been there. You've been that kid. And you've seen you might not be getting a chance. Like Quado at our place at the minute, he's a bit down, he's not playing, blah, blah, blah. But I see the likes of Will, Peter literally, a Twebo. He went, what's up? And Quado was a little bit upset, kind of. He went, come here. And I watched him say it, and I thought, I love that. That's incredible. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like he can see himself in Quado there. Because obviously Quado's not playing football. He wants to play first team football. He wants to go out on loan and stuff, but the opportunity's not there yet because he's just sort of on the peripheries of things. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
It's nice. It's like sometimes it's nice just being a fly on the wall and listening to you guys chat. You don't often hear this perspective. Before we go from obviously with Spurs, who else was in the academy with you?
So we had Kevin Stewart, who went on to play some games for Liverpool.
Okay.
Now he plays for Blackpool. From my actual age group, from the boys 1993, I think me and Kevin probably went the furthest. So what I see now, like the 92s, because you have like a model was kind of like that was your like a year group. From the 10 boys from all those year groups who've got scholarships, there's probably one or two that you can pick out.
Yeah.
So Harry's is the one from the year that was slightly older than me, together with Alex Pritchard, who went on to play Norwich, did well.
Norwich.
Played with him at West Brom.
Very good player.
Yeah,
exactly.
very good player.
Tom Carroll, who had a career, who was a little bit older than them again. Then you had Andres Townsend, Stephen Colker. So Spurs had like a track record of producing players. So when I see Harry Winks now and Oliver Skipp, I saw them when they were little kids. I was under 16, they were like under 12s.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's crazy. Like Josh Onoma. So you kind of know that from each age group, there's probably going to be one or two, and sometimes they're not the obvious ones, because I was probably the last on everyone's list to actually go and do something on a significant level. So it's just interesting. In the same way, probably why agents probably just try and get as many as they can, because you don't really know who's going to be the one that's going to actually go.
You get all sorts of late developers and stuff like that. I'm the same as you, mate. If you looked at my youth, I didn't do a youth team, but I sort of signed at 18, and if you'd have looked at my team, I was nowhere near it. Genuinely nowhere near it. But it doesn't matter, because I was super competitive and I wanted to play first team football, and the rest of them didn't. They were comfy in the training, they were comfy being at Stoke, and it was nice, and they were playing games and all that kind of stuff.
Look at Premier League champ, first, second, League Two, because I often think, look at it, and sometimes technically between the players from even Championship League Two or Prem League One, there might not always be a huge amount in it technically, but how much do you attribute to that mental toughness and that drive?
Yeah, that's the key thing. I think that's the one thing. If you were to look at all of us, even at Watford, you have boys that come from the street from Lagos. You've got Fozzie, who's been obviously very motivated to do something. Everyone has kind of come from somewhere and has that drive, and you can kind of see that sometimes it sparks off more with some people than others. But I feel like if you don't have that, you're going to have unbelievable ability, and you're always going to be known as that player that has unbelievable ability but might not just know how to push themselves. But for all the rest of us who are, I like to think as like on a normal level, you need to have that mental side. If not, you can't make it. No chance.
I'd rather be the one with
ability.
No, sod that. I'd rather be less ability but more driven and more sort of like just wants it.
You see players, you don't want to start digging people out.
Go on, dig one. Say one. No, say one, because you're a football fan. You're not in the game. You can say who you want.
The one that springs to mind, because he's been in the press lately, is Ravel Morrison.
Yeah.
And he was the absolute wonder kid, wasn't he?
He was a wonder. I was at Man United.
I heard Rio talking about him.
Yeah, I was at Man United with Ravel, and he was a wonder kid. He was incredible. But
how good?
Yeah, phenomenal. For that, there was probably all through youth team, he was the best player. But then when he got to about 16, 17, 18, he was way ahead of everybody, like way ahead.
I played against him then, actually.
Incredible.
He was 93 as well, so and he was different class.
It's easy. It's like it's easy for them, isn't it? And I think that's part of the problem, though. Because it's so easy, he doesn't have to go to the gym. He doesn't have to do the work. He can do what he wants. He can turn up and he can just do it. But then everybody else it gets to a level where the professionalism and the want and the drive and the need to be better is stepping up every time.
You had that at Watford under Eddie Boothroyd, didn't he, where he kind of
just demands it. He just demands it to be a bit better. But yeah, he was absolutely incredible. But he just didn't have whether it's the mental side or the drive or whatever, the other bits, the other components that make you weren't there. They just weren't there alongside the ability.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Okay, let's talk about, where did we leave it there?
So Groningen, you were there for 2 seasons on loan at one. Groningen.
Yeah,
is that better? Sorry.
So I'll wrap up really briefly. So I came there, didn't make it into the first team, made my debut, got subbed at half time. I cried my eyes out. I think I told the manager to F off and stuff like that because
why? Because he bought you off?
Yeah, it was a tactical decision, but I felt like I've worked so hard for this moment, and then he subbed me from all the people that he could have taken off. I think he went to a back 3 or something like that, and it just hit me really hard. Said I wanted to leave on loan. I said I'm not staying here. January I left on loan to a team in the 2nd division in Holland called Dordrecht. We got promoted, and that was like my rebirth in Holland, because all of a sudden now I'm playing in the top league side with just loanies, and I was playing every week, getting smashed. We got relegated that year, but it was like my first real like experience of playing top football, So that was Holland.
Being part of the team as well, though, I think that's the big thing.
That was the best. We went out,
isn't it?
Yeah. Even though we lost the games, we went out together as a team on a weekend after the game. We were all like 21, 22. So it was almost like being like a professional footballer student. But that kind of made our team so tight. So then when we did win, it was like amazing. And those are probably my best mates in football, because we all were there with the same like idea.
Any big boys you played against? What was that, 2015?
Yeah, that wasn't a bit later. I feel like in Holland there weren't any like really, really big players yet. That came a bit later in my career, yeah.
Okay, and then on to Ghent.
Yeah. So Ghent signed me, took a punt on me. They had just won the league the year before. I think they saw, even though the team, we were getting hammered all the time, we played 1-against-1 all over the pitch. So I was literally me and the striker for 90 minutes. So I could have an amazing game, but if you slip past me once, it'll be a goal. And that was the philosophy of Dordrecht, the team I played at. So the good thing is that everybody could see my defending ability because I was doing it literally the whole game. But you could also see my glaring mistakes. And they just said, no, we like this player, but he's not just quite right yet for us. So we want to sign him, but send him on loan because I wasn't ready to play Champions League. I've literally just got relegated in Holland. So they did that. Then they sent me to Norway. That was my choice because they kind of left it open where I wanted to go on loan. And then I came back again, and then I was ready and played there. Fell out with the manager because I think he didn't like the way that I kicked one of the players in the training because he thought it was malicious, but it wasn't at all. Because Foz knows me. When I train, I'm like 100%. I think we even ran into each other today.
Was there a bit left in? Was there?
Yeah, no, it's a bit
He's trying to leave it in. I was trying to get out of the way.
Yeah, he's Mr. Football's nice guy though, isn't he? He
sure,
wouldn't do that.
No, I'm like a play like you train like you play kind of person. Just because I know my level of ability and what I need to do to get myself best for the weekend. So, and he didn't like that. And I think someone kicked me back like 5 minutes later. And I was like, oh, you're not going to say anything about that then? And then he sent me back in the change room. And then I already
During training? Literally
during
go?
Training, he was like, yeah, go in the change room.
Oh.
But he was like the king of the hill at that club. So everybody knew not to mess with him. I think the boys enjoyed it because I think I was the first person who actually said something back to him. And then I met him in this office again one time later trying to make amends, but I could tell already like it was done. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I got this call to go to Turkey. So it was a bit out of character because they offered me at the time a massive contract. And I kind of thought, okay, well, I'm here in Belgium now. Am I going to make it to the Prem or not? I might have to.
Was that always a dream, the Prem?
Prem was always the goal. That was it, the end goal. But I thought if I don't make that, I kind of want to secure myself. Sometimes you don't know how often like an opportunity like this comes.
So what are you, mid-20s at this point? 26?
Yeah, 23, turning 24.
This is really important, Will, because we talked about this with League One, League Two players. And as I say, you've gone to Turkey and people say, well, that's an interesting move. And a lot of, I guess, British-based players don't often stay too long. But like you said, you don't know here. You're not, I guess, in that upper echelon. So you don't know what your future holds. So first and foremost, let's get paid. Let's be honest.
And that's honestly the conversation that I had with my mum at the time and with Molly was like, it's a strange move. Bursaspor was a big club. They won the league there before. They had that stadium with the crocodile. I don't know if you've seen it before.
Yeah.
Massive.
Incredible. Brand new bad boy.
40,000 people.
The actual stadium is a crocodile.
Yeah.
Like it's built around, like it's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
4 million people in the city, close to Istanbul. It ticked a lot of boxes and it made a lot of sense. And for me, the Turkish Super League is a competitive league. It was better than Holland, better than Belgium.
Fanatic fans. Turkish fans. Wow.
So in that sense, in my calculations, it was a step up again, like what I was going to face, what kind of players. They just like signed some of the older players like Adebayor, strikers that I knew that were probably there to get a payday, but they're still good strikers, so you're still going to have good games. So I went there, and I knew as well in the back of my mind, it was the year before the World Cup, and we had just qualified for the World Cup in Nigeria, and I started all the games. I felt like the manager liked me, trusted me, so I said, okay, I'm going to go to the Super League, play a lot of games, because they bought me for some money, which was rare in Turkey.
How much was it?
I think it was like 2 million quid. Or
nice,
like
isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was the first time someone put a transfer fee and actually money on the table for a good contract, because they also had in mind, okay, he's going to come play World Cup, probably play there, boom, try and
Bigger
do
name.
something. And it worked out. I had a French coach, Paul Le Guen, who was a legend at PSG, and he called me up and he was like, Will, I want you. My national team manager, I called him up, I was like, listen, it's a bit of a strange move, but I feel like it's going to work for me. And he actually knew Paul Le Guen, because our national team manager's French, German. So he's like, yeah, go. I know him, trust him.
Talk to me quickly about how nice that feels when a manager rings you. And
it's key. And I'll never forget the call. It was quite late at night. I think it was 10, 11 or so.
You know the move's going to go on at this point.
I knew that it was almost done, but they wanted the manager to... So that they wanted to sign me 100%, but they just signed the manager and they wanted to okay with him before they said, okay, come. Because I was going to be one of the allocated money signings because they only wanted to sign free players or loan players really in Turkey because they try and do well on the salaries instead of the transfer fees. So for them to pay that money already for me was a bit of a deal. So I just wanted to okay it with the manager. And then I got the phone call from him, and then I knew that it was going to be done. And then the next morning I got the phone call again from my agent. He was like, yeah, it's done. And I was like, yeah, to be fair, I thought so already. And it went really quickly, flew to Turkey, everything new again. And I was quite blown away. Amazing training ground, good facilities, amazing stadium, and went for it. Loved it every second of it. Played some amazing games, and then at the end of the year we went to the World Cup and played there. Played the 3 group stage games until we unfortunately just missed out in the last game against Argentina. And then I got back home and I was like, okay, I'm sure the phone's going to ring now sometime. Waited. Some offers came, but then I realised for the first time that it's not necessarily me who's going to make the decision. It's going to be the club because they want to obviously sell me. And so whatever transfer fee is the best for them.
So this is basically the end of the season here.
Yeah.
In
so
between.
After the World Cup. Yeah. So start of pre-season. The World Cup's just been through the off-season.
You've done well in the World Cup.
Yeah, done well. It was a roller coaster as well, the World Cup. I'll come back to that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll touch on that later, yeah.
So did well. And then, the opportunity came. I remember I got called up. I was in a restaurant and they said, the president wants to meet you now at the training ground. I was like, okay, why? What's that for? 2 minutes later, my agent rings me. He's like, oh, yeah, we've got Udinese, a club in Italy that wants to buy you. They've already agreed the fee. So then I put 2 and 2 together because we were talking to a few other clubs, so I wasn't sure who it was. And then they were like, yeah, well, you need to go. This is what we're going to get for you. You should try and make an agreement with them, but in theory, you're going to have to go there.
Are you open to this? Are you like, yeah, cool?
So when they say you're going to have to go there, and you know when you see on Sky Sports News and they'll say, couldn't agree personal terms. So I take that as they either wanted too much cash or they're not moving there to that country.
For me, the biggest thing was now is because I'd made quite a big step in my wages.
You were on a level.
Yeah, on the level.
Yeah.
And now I knew, okay, this is my leverage to try and stay there. And Udinese were like, okay, well, you've been tried and trusted, but not really in the Serie A, like a big league. So we want to offer you this. So then I had to go and sit back up there with the president. And I went to the boardroom, I remember. It was like the most intimidating thing ever. And he was like, well, Will, listen, they've offered you this. You're going to miss out on about this. And I was like, well, you know what? I want to stay then. I don't want to go anywhere. I love this club. It's the best club I've been at. And I could see his face like going turning red. Yeah.
Oh, fuck off, Will.
Yeah, I know. Because I was just repeating all the things that they said to me when they signed me. So they were like, yeah, this is the best club, blah, blah, blah. And then they said, okay, well, you just have to wait outside for a minute. And then I stood outside and they came back in and they're like, so, okay, you know what? We'll do it. And we're going to give you the difference.
We'll make it up, basically.
Yeah.
So how much transfer fee did Udinese pay for you?
I think it was 3.5 million.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if they made another deal or something like that. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about that kind of stuff. But anyway, it got done. And I was buzzing because I knew, okay, this is my chance in like a top league.
Top league.
Big league.
Yeah.
So, and that was the year that Ronaldo just signed there. So all eyes all of a sudden were on Serie A again. They signed some big players. And then I just rocked up and I arrived in Italy. I flew throughout the night and it was the last day of the window in Italy. And one day later, I met the manager, walked past his office. It was a Spanish guy. I couldn't speak Spanish, couldn't speak Italian. Everything was new. And he was like, yeah, we're going to have a training. It was a Friday. And then throughout the training, all the boys were looking at me like, oh, this looks like the starting team. And I'm in it. And I was like, oh, okay. So thankfully, we had one Dutch guy there who ended up being a really good friend of mine. Bram Knighting, his name was. He still plays there as the captain of the team now. And he's like, Will, I think you're going to start tomorrow. You know?
So I don't, for people like this is again, like I don't think people understand this sometimes. On a Friday, right, guys? So we obviously most games are on a Saturday. On the Friday morning training session, okay, you'll normally have a meeting in the morning, but then you'll have a training session and then you'll go through a bit of a warm-up, blah, blah, blah. But then the bulk of the training session will just be about sort of team shape, won't it? It'll be preparing for the game that you're playing tomorrow against the team that you're playing tomorrow. But what the managers like to do is get the starting 11 into some sort of a formation, just so everybody can sort of see the mate next to them, know where they are, so then tomorrow it's not so much of a shock kind of thing. But they don't also like to say the starting lineup, do they? They don't like on a Friday, they don't like to say what the starting 11 is going to be because there's going to be another 11 or 12 people that it's going to really affect them. They're going to be like, for God's sake. And then you've got to get through the whole training session, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, like you say there, they try and do it slyly, don't they? You just stand there and you stand there. But really, everybody's looking, going, I think I'm starting
Yeah,
it. I'm
yeah.
buzzing. So that's a lovely feeling. That's a great start, yeah?
Yeah, that is exactly what happened, kind of. And it was like the last 10 minutes of the training, because like you said, they try to disguise as much as they can normally, because they don't want to piss anyone off at the start of the session. And then and the worst thing about it as well, I didn't even know anyone's name, because I spent the morning still trying to finish off the paperwork. So I literally went running in, changed, boots on, out onto the pitch, everything new. And I went back to the hotel, and then the next day we travelled to the away game, and I think we drew, it was 2-2. Did well, and that kind of was like the best start I could have had there, because you kind of get accepted into the group directly, and people know what you're about, what you can give, and then they also know that you're willing to work for the team. So I don't think I could have had a better start, and I think after that I played all the games for the next
season.
year. Yeah, for that season.
So when you go to looking at it, and I think, okay, a player signed that. If I was going there, I'd probably be on the coach or on the plane going, right, go on Wikipedia and look at their squad. Who do I recognise? Is that something you do?
I did when I got the phone call from Gino at the time when I was in Turkey, and I knew that they were serious and they wanted to get me. I was literally on like Wikipedia, like
doing your research,
trying to figure out Udinese, like where is it, what club is it? Because I didn't really watch Serie A as a kid, especially when my football background was kind of England. Some say like Premier League was it, and then I just used to watch the leagues wherever I was playing because I found that interesting. But I didn't really watch Serie A. That was like before my time when it was like really big. So I didn't know anything about Udinese, where it was, and anything like that. But to be fair, Gino sold it to me because he said, "Oh, you also know I own Watford." So he's like, "If you do well here, I'm probably going to bring you there."
Yeah. So when you move to a country like that, then they say, "Okay, transfer done, personal terms done."
Yeah.
How do you move house? Do you have a fixer? Is there an agent? Is it a player liaison officer? How do you then get a house and move in? How does that whole process work? Because I'm guessing you're not there packing boxes like I am.
No. To be fair, I had already in Turkey like got rid of everything because I knew this summer it was probably going to happen.
More
at
Air
one
Force
point.
Ones.
Some Air Force One. To be fair, it became a little bit nicer at this stage.
Limited edition, we're talking here. Come on.
We had something else, maybe a few collabs, but I knew it was kind of happening. So I had all my stuff ready, and especially because I knew it was near the end of August, that it could happen any moment.
Yeah.
But then arriving in Italy, that's like a whole new ball game. So I spent the most of the time in the hotel at first. It took ages because Italian people like doing everything on their own time. And then, you kind of have to look for something yourself. I was lucky because Valon Barami, who was your teammate at Watford.
I didn't play with him, but
Oh, he was at Watford before. He was really nice. All the boys wanted to help me out. And he actually had a flat where he was leaving because his family was moving back to wherever. So he said, you can have my flat. So then it all went very smoothly. So normally that's what helps because you kind of speak with the boys in the changing room. Oh, what's a nice area to live in? What
That's
do you
how
think?
it's done.
Yeah. How much you reckon I could get for a nice flat, for 1 bed, 2 bed, or whatever you want, you're after. And then the club does always help with like a player liaison. But sometimes it's just nicer to get like a different view from someone who's already been
I think
there.
at first, what normally happens is at first, especially when a player comes from a different country and stuff, the club will put them into a hotel. They'll put them into a nice local hotel, basically, like applicable for what your needs are. So if you're coming with a family, they'll put you in a nice suite, all that kind of stuff. And they'll usually do it for a month, maybe 2 months or so max, just so then you can get your feel for the place and understand what the city's like, all that kind of stuff. You can go out, enjoy food and all that. And then in the meantime, you're sort of putting the feelers out, like Will said there, about flats, apartments, where's the nice places to live. That's how it goes, basically. But the clubs, to be fair, clubs are brilliant, aren't they? Clubs help everybody because you get some players that won't speak a word of the language, so they need all the help they can get, to be fair.
And what about like getting you to know your way around the city and stuff? Do a couple of the lads go, "Oh, where's good for coffee? Hey, where's good for restaurants? What's?"
Yeah, I think that you have to be relying a little bit on your teammates, and I think now because I've been through it so often, I always try and make an effort with new players. Fozzie probably knows the same thing because it makes all the difference when you arrive somewhere and someone's like, "Oh, let's go for dinner tonight." And or let's go here, or do you need anything, or do you want to go and have a look at flats together, or anything like that. It just makes a difference. And to be fair, those boys took me out for dinner. They love food in Italy, and I love food, so it was easy done. And
good coffee shops and gelato,
exactly,
and all that.
A little glass of wine here and there was all lovely. That was great. And Udine is literally that size, so you can't really go wrong in the sense. So there's only a few restaurants where the boys tend to go. It's not like moving to London or somewhere and really having no clue. So in that sense, it was all quite easy. But it makes a difference when the boys trying to help you out.
So let's talk about the big move then, okay? The one that you've always dreamed of, the one that you've been chasing your whole football career to England. Might not have been the Premier League, but it was a stepping stone to the Premier League.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a, in the making for a long time. Not only through all these countries, but when I was in Italy, my first year was my best season to date. Probably consistently.
You played against Ronaldo, yeah?
Yeah, played against quite a lot of the big boys. It was nice, and it just flowed. Sometimes when it just happens, and it came to the end of the season, and I was like, okay, well, I think something's going to happen here. And Udinese were probably thinking, we want to keep him a bit longer. So we were flirting with some English teams, and then the conversation also came up. Okay, might bring you to Watford now. Last minute, it didn't happen. I renewed at Udinese, and then I kind of set my mind to, okay, I might just play in Serie A, and I'm happy here. Family's happening. I just had my son, and I was really enjoying that challenge there. And then, towards the end of my second season, then the conversation happened again about Watford, and then Watford were having a bit of a difficult season, and when the lads went down. So I was watching all those games like, please stay in there, please stay up, because I think, this could be my year. So then they would end up going down, and so I kind of put it out of my mind, with all due respect, because I was playing in Serie A, I kind of wanted to stay there or
playing against
go
Ronaldo.
to the Prem. Yeah.
Don't lie, when you play against Ronaldo, does everybody try and get a shirt?
Yeah.
Did you ever get any?
The closest I got was pulling his shirt, probably.
Please.
What's he like? What is Cristiano Ronaldo like to mark?
Sharp, razor sharp, waiting for you to just look away for 1 second. So he scored some goals against me where I've literally looked over my shoulder to see where the other centre half is, and he's nipped off. He waits for those moments. Ball comes, bang, it's gone. He's off to the corner flag. Yeah, the next time you see him, he's in the.
He's already off at the corner flag celebrating. Unlucky.
So, yeah, mate. So it's. I feel like that is the top level that he delivers, is that he just knows when and how to execute.
That's interesting though, because I wasn't expecting that response. I expect physical attributes. He jumps the highest, he runs the fastest, but it's that almost mental awareness, like you say, sharpness.
He knows how to apply himself. So the jumping was one thing that also took me by surprise. I remember there was one ball that was kind of over my head, and then I tried to turn around to follow it, and he was already in the air, trying to nod it. So
he floats.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that is but it's timing, because I think
you're off balance at this point. So you're not that you're not actually. You might not be off balance, but you're not fully ready.
Yeah, to jump.
Whereas he's already in the air. So even if he hits you or you hit him, you're going. Yeah. You're going down, mate. He's already there.
And you can see him ride plays to go up. So he takes a run up, jumps, and then as the person jumps, he kind of boosts himself, and then he just goes for it. So that was one thing. And obviously now he's a little bit older. He on long distance, he's not someone that's really going to out sprint you, but it's just the sharpness on the first 2-3 yards that you have to be really careful with. That was my observation, obviously. I'm going to see what it's like this year again, hopefully. But
mate, he still looks sharp as hell.
Yeah, he does.
He does, doesn't he?
Does.
Sharp as hell. His feet are just, they're a joke. He's rapid still.
What's he got, 4 in 3, is it?
Yeah, something like that. 5 and 4. He's
ridiculous.
I don't think he's ever slowing down.
No, hopefully he uses it all up now before we get to them, yeah.
When are you playing them?
I think it's November.
November, is that?
I'm glad you know. I haven't got a clue, man. I don't look at the fixtures anyway. I take it game by game. It's the best way to do it in the Premier League, mate. Best way to do it. So we've come over to England. We've signed for Watford. Can I tell you my first
in the Championship?
In the Championship. Yeah. So it's in the summer. We've just reported back for pre-season training, and there were a couple of the lads it's mad. This is how football works, right? Oh, apparently we're signing that a defender from Udinese. Yeah. Supposed to be decent, to be fair. That's how it went. I swear on my life, I'm not licking his ass here, all right? Supposed to be decent, apparently. Oh, really? All right, yeah. We've already got a few defenders, to be fair. We've always had quite a few defenders at Watford. Supposed to be decent. All right, cool. Next couple of days, boom, done, signed, he's in. And I hear the name Will Troost Ekong. He's Nigerian, right? I see him, and I'm thinking, maybe his English ain't too great. So I've gone up, and I can't repeat what. Actually, I can't start it. I went, well, we're gonna have to blur the word, but I went, whoa. I went, hey mate, big you, ain't you? Yeah, just like being nice, right? And he looked at me, and he kind of, I don't know if he knew how to take it or not, but he went, all right, mate.
That threw me off. Yeah.
What on earth?
Yeah,
we're in the gym. I remember saying it, and then he went, all right, mate. I was like, what? Wow.
Yeah, no, it was quite strange. I think people didn't really expect me to speak English like this anyway. Because people didn't really know that story, so they just knew me as like being in Italy as a Nigerian defender. So I understood it when it happened, but it was just hilarious because I was literally like, what the f is he saying to me? You know what I mean? So
that's a bit of a gamble, though, isn't it? Well, like, because you've gone, like you say, you've taken all those logical steps.
Yeah.
And although the Championship, like in European terms, is still quite a big league, isn't
competitive.
There's no guarantee that Watford are going to get straight back up. No, it's so competitive.
Yeah.
So you could end up staying in the Championship for a number of seasons at the age you're at.
Yeah.
27, 26, 27.
It was my biggest gamble. Like, not gamble, but calculated risk.
Yes.
Because I spoke to Gino and our conversation was literally, I was like, spell out to me what the team is going to be like, because I want to know who's staying and going, because it was still during the transfer market. Are all the big boys going to leave? And is it going to be a complete new team? Because then you don't really know what you're signing for. Or are you going to try and keep some people? What's the idea? So he gave me the whole like backlog to it. And for me, it was like, okay, I'm 27 now. This might be my time. I wanted to have some kind of security as well. I'm going to be really open here. So I said to okay, Gino, listen, I'll come. 5-year contract. I'm going to take the risk, you know, if it doesn't happen. And he said to me, listen, Will, if you come and play here, if we don't go up and you had a good season, we'll probably try and sell you. That's how it goes. If you know, if everything goes to plan, you come play in the Prem, and then it's a win for everyone, isn't it? So that was kind of the situation we had. So I thought that the only scenario that can happen is that I arrive, don't do well, which is, you know, possible in football, get injured, team doesn't go up. You know, I might still enjoy it. So I might be like, okay, I still love Watford. I still want to play in the Champ. I might stay another year, and then you kind of have to make another decision. So all the places where I'd been before had been risks for different reasons. So this has been, okay, I'm going to go here. But this one was nice because I kind of felt like I had it in my own hand. And especially with the team that we had, I genuinely believed wholeheartedly we're going to do it. And I know that everyone says it's difficult in the Champ going down and up. But I just looked at the squad and I thought, this is it's calculated. Be real,
did you just say, is Ismail Sarr staying? Is Ismail Sarr staying?
Is Ismail staying?
Is that old goat going to be in goal next season?
Is Foz staying?
You ain't got to worry about that. As long as Ismail stays, you've got a chance, mate. You've got a chance. Do you use an agent, by the way? Because it sounds to me like literally like every move that you've done, you've been the guy. Yeah. You've been the guy talking to the friggin' owner of that one. 5%. I don't blame you either.
That was probably another like massive thing about, because in the most recent years, I was like, do I actually need someone here? Because from my experience, like if you perform to a certain level, people know where to find you. Nowadays, 100%. With the internet, stats, everything, like just pop out of nowhere. And often it will be an agent that has been sent by a club, and you can literally ask them, okay, if you've got this club for me, show me that you've got this mandate or whatever from this club to say, oh yeah, X Man United or Man City or Arsenal wants to sign you. Because they will, or they'll just get you on the phone with the sporting director or some way or another. So that was kind of what happened with most of my moves, that the club kind of came directly or through someone with enough proof that I knew that I was speaking to someone in the club. So I didn't want to dish out anything to any agent anymore, because I thought, I don't need anyone here if I just trust myself to play well. So I went through a stage of not having an agent, lawyer, family. I thought, you know what, I can actually do something purposeful with this money, or allocate in a different way.
It's a good money, a bit of money. We're talking 5% of a contract, so of a yearly contract as well. So if you whatever contract you sign, normally you will per year pay 5% of that to an agent.
Yeah.
For which is normally, I'm not being bad, but it's normally a couple days' work, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a few phone calls. Yeah. It's a couple days' work.
Yeah. So I don't like obviously to undermine anyone's work, because there's other moments where you really need an agent. When you might not be playing well, because football's a lot of its connection, who you know, who do they trust, all that kind of stuff. So you got to back yourself if you want to go down that way. But I think that is the way that football's going at the moment, because people see that, you know, with all the accessibility people have to you and having your like own career in hand, you can really do a lot yourself. And I feel like that's like a massive thing now about player empowerment, whether it be, you know, social media, how you sell yourself. All the things, even what Foz is doing now, the Fozcast, like people are trying to take things into their own hands, which I think is like the next step of it, because I love when a player is more than just someone who's on the pitch that has actually got, you know, you are your own entity, your own business. That's you as a person, not just what you perform on a Saturday. And I feel like the more that people realise that, the more people try and do something with that. And I think like being, you know, your own agent, or having maybe your family or someone who can help you with that, it's massive, because if you play well, you don't need anyone. You just need a good lawyer to sort out your contract. That's the
well,
truth of it.
honestly, mate, you're talking so. I love this. You're talking so much sense.
Well, you're not preaching, but you're talking to the converted.
Yeah, you're talking. Do you know what you're talking sense? Because you see, like nowadays, you remember it started a few years ago where basketball players would sort of get involved with a bit of politics or stuff like that. You see LeBron he'd jump on a tweet and he'd say something about politics, and you'd have like these news reporters and whatever, and they'd try and shut him down or stick to your game, stick to your arena. You're a basketball player. What do you know about it? Yeah, that don't fly anymore, does it now? People now, sports people in particular, have realised that their voice carries.
Who was it in the summer with England? Was it Tyrone Mings?
There's
got right stuck in, didn't he?
There's loads. Marcus Rashford.
Brilliant.
Marcus Rashford changed the law.
Yeah,
Marcus Rashford has changed the law by himself. Footballers all over the world, like not even footballers, sports people all over the world, are now finally realising their voice carries more weight than politicians, than anyone else's, movie stars. It's a massive. It's relatable, isn't it? That's what people want to hear. They want to hear that relatable voice.
They do. It's incredible. And the other thing, to your point as well, is like you say, agents. I'm sure there's loads that are very, very good. You've had one that's been brilliant for many, many years. But also, what we've realised, setting up the channel and the podcast and stuff, you don't have to overcomplicate things. Yeah. It's amazing how much you can do yourself. It is incredible, isn't it?
I do want to add to that, like you said, I think there's a lot of agents that do amazing work, because along my journey, I've also had different people that have really helped me in the right direction. I just also think that sometimes it's an easy way for a player to not have to think about the difficult things, because you kind of just leave it to my agent. Everyone tends to say that. But for me, I have like kind of my own team of people around me. So I've got Dan, my friend who's here today.
Big up, Dan.
Yeah, big Dan here.
Go on, get in front of the camera, Dan. Have a smile.
Come on. Go wave.
Go on, Dan.
Yeah.
Go on, Dan.
who's been like the last few years been massively influential in a lot of my decision making, but also has been someone that I trust wholeheartedly.
That's the word, trust, mate.
Trust is the main thing. I've got one or two other people that are always in my circle. So if we're talking about analysing games or what shall I do next, or what do you think about this, there's like probably 5 people that I would always call just to get their opinion as like a bouncing board. And I think like those people are the same people that would, if they have like some knowledge in certain fields, I'd prefer to use them, empower them, give that money to them because I know that they can actually help me, or they've worked with me for free for all this time without expecting anything, than someone just to rock up at the last minute and just co-sign something with me.
Few phone calls.
Yeah, even though they wouldn't have been part of anything of that. So,
and where are they going to be 2 months after?
2 months after
that.
And I've had bad experiences with that. So there's 2 ways for me how you can do it. This last thing I want to say about it. Either you have your own team, or you find an agreement with an agent where you say, okay, from the money you're going to get, this is my opinion, you have to allocate so-and-so to these people that are part of my team. So if you want to be my agent, but you're not going to cover everything. So from your 5%, 2% is for you. That 3% is going to be to the guy who comes with me everywhere, who helps me make decisions, is going to do this and this and this and this. And then before you know it, you can actually help put your people on as well. Instead of giving them money out of your own pocket maybe for the things they're doing for you, that is money that you're supposed to be getting anyway, that comes out of your budget as Ben Foster or as Will Ekong. So I prefer getting that money directly to the people that help me.
I think sorry, can I just say, I think that's a massive message for young footballers. I think that's a huge thing to say to young footballers. You're not obliged to sign any contract with any agent anywhere at any time, okay? You can take full ownership of this. It's never ever a set in stone 5% or 10% or whatever it will be. It's completely negotiable at all times. You could get your dad to come down and do it for you, for God's sake. You don't have to have an agent, but if you do enter into an agreement with an agent, it's fully negotiable. I mean, absolutely everything, okay? I'll tell you a quick story as well, just jumping off the back of this. When I was at Man United, Gary Neville, he always used to say to me, who's your agent? I tell him, he went, you always used to say, you don't need an agent. You don't need an agent. He said, do you know who does my deals for me? And I went, who? And he went, me and my dad. He said, we would go in, and whenever it was time to do a new deal, we would go into the financial office. It would be with Sir Alex Ferguson, it would be David Gill, whoever it was at the time at Man United then. He said, we would sit in a room and we would talk about what I want, because he says, I know what I want. He said, because I know what I'm worth. He says, and that's the beauty of it. He says, when I've got my dad next to me and I'm sat there as well, he says, you try and tell us that we're not worth that, even though we go out every Saturday and we do it for you every single time. He says they can't do it. He says, so we normally walk out there with exactly what we want. And he was telling me, I'm thinking, this is incredible. What a guy.
There is a counter argument. Not everyone's Gary Neville.
For sure.
There are players that maybe are on the periphery of a team, and that's where you might need someone with that proper industry knowledge, that nous of getting things over the line. But to your point, Will, about having, allocating maybe a percentage of that to your nearest and dearest. And people don't see this with players, that their closest confidence, which could be your mate, your brother, your mum, your sister, your cousin, or someone like that. They're there to pick you up when you're down. They're there
inevitably
for
will be
the
down.
high, the bad, the indifferent, absolutely everything. Like you say, you'll have people that might not be absolute experts in their field, but you go, right, well, they're going to shoot straight first and foremost, because you're in a world where everyone's kissing your ass. Well, not everyone, a lot of the time. And actually having someone there that will tell it to you kind of straight, not what you want to hear. It's important.
Move to the Championship, okay? Brilliant agent talk, by the way. I absolutely buzzed off that. Move to the Championship. It works out getting promotion. Talk to me about promotion, because for me, I kept saying to you guys, this doesn't happen very often. This feeling doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, no, like when I think back at it now, it was so exciting, and then on top of it, it was a mixture of emotions. It was like the happiness of like doing that with a team, being part of a group who actually achieved something special, the relief of the pressure, because when you get to the end of it, it's almost like everybody sees it's coming, but you have to deliver it still, and I felt like that was quite big. And then also for me personally was that moment of full circle. So I was like, I finally made it back to the Prem. Like that was amazing. That was an amazing day for me and my family, people that have been on this journey from the start. So those are all the things that went through me. And also just like trying to get to the final whistle, because Millwall were better than us on that day.
Yeah, they were. So Dan Batman he was man of the match that day. He made a couple saves, honestly, monster saves as well. But winning the game and just getting over the line, like I remember counting it down, the relief and the release and the joy was just, oh my gosh.
You had a bit of fun after when you got promoted, didn't you? You were a couple of weekends of it.
Mate, it was a heavy few weeks, weren't it?
You got to make the most of it.
Yeah.
You don't know when it's going to happen again.
I remember watching the footage back and like. Before it was edited, we put out a couple of promotion episodes, and like Frank, the editors, going, "Have you seen this footage?
We can't put this in.
Absolutely unbelievable.
We can't put this in."
You've got like people doing the worm in like booze on the thing. You've got Andre there with a cigar, like blazing it. I love it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Can I ask a good question? I think it's a wicked question actually, because like you say, the release and the relief and the joy, what made it? It's like I've come full circle. I'm just finally done what I've always wanted to do. It's a massive achievement. Did you have any doubts over the summer of thinking, well, I hope I friggin' start? Do you know what I mean?
What, when I arrived at Watford?
So no, I mean for the Premier League kind of thing, because you started every game so far, haven't you? You've been a slight centre-back rock for us this season already.
Yeah, of course.
But it has to run through your head, doesn't it? I don't think you're normal if you're not thinking, especially where we've come from as footballers, like our history and stuff. You kind of think, well, we've got there. I hope I start.
Yeah.
Do you look at the transfer market and go, why we've signed another centre half? Or do you think of things that way?
I don't really get caught in the like rumour thing, because that goes round and round and round and round. But when someone arrives, if they would have, they signed Matty Pollock this summer. Obviously, by their age and where they come from that, okay, it's going to be a different type of signing. But it wouldn't have been illogical for the club to sign another Premier League centre back, and there was obviously a few floating around which are like free agents, like I think Gary Cahill, different players which I think probably could have signed at Watford. So you kind of have to have that in mind, but then you also have to back yourself. So I knew that was going to happen, and I knew part of the next stage, and that was the one thing that people said to me as well, is going to come with disappointments again, setbacks, like growing pains of getting to this next level, different players that you're going to be competing with within like Watford, but also in the league. And also, like, even I might start the first 5 games, the people at Watford are going to be thinking further than that. You don't know who's going to come in January, next summer. So you're always going to be fighting for that.
But that just keeps driving you, though,
that keeps driving you.
Yeah.
That is what you need to do. I think if you let that overwhelm you, or like you get scared by that, then it will just eat you up. So you kind of need to be like, whoever comes in, I'm going to treat you as my mate, because at the end of the day, you can't be a good centre-back without another good centre-back. So you need that partnership. That's like the key thing. But at the same time, I'm going to be making sure that I'm giving the manager all the, the best idea of like, I need to get Will in my 2 of the centre-backs. Yeah. That's what I need to give the manager. So that's like just been my motivation, really.
I love it. And how are you finding the Prem this season? So we're 5 games in. How are you finding it so far?
Amazing. Roller coaster. Obviously what happened at Brighton. The first game was amazing. Like, we win, buzzing. I felt like we were on the front foot. It was exciting. It was everything that I imagined a Premier League game to be. Second game, we weren't good as a team. I had a stinker as well first half. Missed a header from a corner. and then I gave away the ball and they scored directly from it. Like all the things that I knew could happen kind of happened as well in 45 minutes, and then like trying to recover from that. And then the one thing that I kind of pride myself on from that game specifically is not crumbling. Like I said to myself, okay, shit's gonna happen. I don't know.
We can swear, mate. It's fine. It's a podcast. It's fine.
You know, how are you going to deal with that? Because one thing that someone told me before is that the Premier League, I think, is the league where the most mistakes happen per minute. And I'd like that has always been stuck in my mind as like, okay, you need to recover, do better. It's going to happen. So that was like one massive thing. And then now like the win again against Norwich, I feel like was like the next bit of confidence that we needed. Like, okay, away we can do it as well. So exciting, man. I just find it amazing.
I think you've got there, like you say, the polar opposites of the Premier League straight away, like the two extremes. You've got the first game of the season, buzzing your tree off. This isn't doddle this. Just do this every week. And then straight away, boom, back down to reality. Two, not like saying they're not even massive mistakes, but somebody gets a run at you for a corner, it's a goal. Yeah. You misplace a pass, it's a goal. It's a Premier League. That's the beauty of the Premier League. Yeah. They don't mess around. It is as simple as that. So, but I think to your credit, I think everybody can see that you just try and stay on that line. Yeah. You don't get too carried away when it's good, and you don't get too upset or too down when it's going bad. Right, William, talk to me. You are the Super Eagles El Capitan. Talk to me about how important that is to you. How much pride does that give you?
Biggest honour. It's unbelievable. Like where I started 5-6 years ago with the national team.
Could you ever see that? Was it a dream?
It was a dream. I couldn't see it, but funny enough, some people did say to me already that they thought that could be possible. I don't know if they were just literally blowing smoke on my ass. Could have done. Anyway, thanks for that, who did, because it made me believe that I could actually do it.
Planting the seed, at least.
Planting the seed. Yeah. And it wasn't something that just like I really wanted to grab, but it was like a gradual thing because Ahmed Musa, who is still officially our like team captain, who's played 100 caps now, is like a star for us. Slowly just stopped playing as much, was on the bench more, and then all of a sudden I started playing more. Well, actually I was always playing, but I was consistently the captain, and I think it's been like 20 games in a row. So then you kind of become like the captain. So it's an amazing honour, and it's just like to do that for your country and to really know, okay, I can like help the boys and like be like a reference point for them and like just like drive them on. It's just amazing.
Best moment for the national team?
World Cup. That was like different class. Even though the last group stage game, so my last World Cup game, we lost in like the 86th minute, and I cried on the pitch after just because it was like overwhelming, and I was like, oh my god, I'm actually at a World Cup. Like looking around, full stadium, St. Petersburg, amazing. That was like the best moment,
because you had Croatia, so you're up against Modric, and then obviously in your last game you beat Iceland, then you're up against Argentina. Yeah. So when you're facing Messi and you're in the tunnel, is there an element that you're going, am I like scared, or what is it? Is he like the superhuman? You're standing opposite him in the tunnel or whatever. What's your thoughts? Do you think like, is it?
You try not to stare, innit? He's just kind of like look at him. We're like, oh my god, Messi's actually there. Like, you're gonna play against Messi. That's how I felt. But each game had like its different thing. But that Argentina was like definitely like the Messi show, and they hadn't done well so far in the tournament. And I think they already said they were going to get rid of the manager. So it was like a massive story, and they had to do well. And Diego Maradona was there in the stands. And Messi hadn't scored yet, something like that. And then you kind of knew like either it's going to be a disaster for them or maybe something's going to happen. And then I think within 30 minutes he scored an unbelievable goal. I think he probably says one of the best. Oh no, I can't say that about him, but one of the best international goals.
One of his good ones.
Yeah, and he just took it like unbelievable first touch, finished with his right foot across the goal, and I just remember him wheeling off to the corner flag again, and like the stadium just like erupting, because there was probably 80% Argentinian people in there, because they kind of knew this might be Messi's last World Cup, maybe this last World Cup game. So even some of the Nigerian fans, I think, sold their tickets outside the Argentinians, so it was like a home game for them. Yeah. And it was just unbelievable. It's
the same question again. What's it like marking Lionel Messi?
To be fair, I got closer to him. I managed to get a few tackles in, so I've got like 1 or 2 pictures which I'm probably gonna like frame and keep somewhere forever, because that is like magic, isn't it? Like the best player, probably one of the best players of all time. So but when he scored a goal, it wasn't on my side.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
I'm happy it wasn't, because when I saw it happen, it was like kind of in slow motion, and my teammate, who I would back 100%, looked like he wanted to do everything to stop it, but just couldn't. And so it was like watching poetry in motion. It was unbelievable.
And is there like a part of you that thinks it's Lionel Messi? Did it enter your head of, I'm going to leave a bit on him early or something like that? Is there?
No, I think you can't even be like occupied with that, because I think if you try to do that, you probably get sent off because he'd be too nippy, wouldn't he?
He'd have skipped over it, wouldn't he?
And he was. One thing I remember is that he walked around in the start of the game, and then after seeing that, I've watched him a few more times. I watched him once live in the Champions League game. And I think he does that. That's my opinion. I've heard some other people say it as well, to just kind of like calculate where the spaces are. So he kind of walks around for like the first 10 minutes, doesn't get too involved, and then all of a sudden he just goes pop, 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 and then
slows it down.
Like football IQ type.
Yeah, he just looks, okay, so they're playing 3-5-2 today. He looks like he's on it. He looks like he's probably coming a bit too tight to me. And then he knows, okay, so the ball comes there. That's what I think goes through his mind.
That's interesting, isn't it?
And he might even do that like consciously, but I think subconsciously he just finds the space.
Just feeling his way.
Feeling his way. And then all of a sudden he's like, okay, I can smell there's something here. And then...
Unlucky.
Yeah, unlucky, mate.
Unlucky. All right, okay. So, let's talk YouTube, okay? I know that you're interested in YouTube. You've seen what we do on the Cycling GK. You love coming on the channel anyway. You're one of the ones that loves to get involved. So much so that you've only gone and started your own YouTube channel.
Breaking
news. Literally, we're talking in the last couple of days, the first video has gone out.
Yeah.
What's the channel called?
King Ekong.
Yeah, boy!
It's flipping unbelievable. Like, I want everyone who's watching this, you need to watch this. It's so good.
So for people at home watching, whether you're listening on Spotify, head over to YouTube, okay? Type in King Ekong and subscribe to his channel, because I've got to say, Will, right? The content that I can bring people, right, from Watford FC,
which was never seen before,
for the content that I can bring,
I
thought was very good. Yeah, was very, very good content. I've watched your video that went out on Thursday night, literally 4 days ago, and I've never seen content like it. So let me put a bit of context around this, guys. So Will is started a YouTube channel where when he goes away on international duty with Nigeria, he will do the vlogging like I do on the Cycling GK. He will show you all the behind the scenes stuff. He will show you action from games, from training, what the lads are like, what they get up to, travel, food, absolutely everything. But you've got more access than I've ever had. True?
I think you've kind of probably helped me with that, because you kind of broke down the barriers the last few months. And I have to say, to be fair, I have been inspired by the Cycling GK. I love it. I watched it. You and Tom have done an amazing job with that, and Frank and all the other people that are involved. And so much so that I was always asking Ben, like, okay, how's this work? How's this? So we always tend to have like a little conversation.
Do you know that you were scouted though? Do you know that you were scouted?
Was this a long-term project?
Last season, and Ben always sends the footage over, and then me and Frank were saying, you need to get more of the lads on. You need to get more of the lads on. And when you did lockdown haircuts,
the haircut,
right? And you did a haircut for Fozzy, and we all went, Will's really good.
He's good.
Like, Will's like the best out of the lads. Like, he's just like, I'm upsetting poor Will here probably, but he's the best out of the lads. Like, he's like dead keen and like engaging, and so we kind of marked your card early on there.
That's good. Match made in heaven.
You are though, mate. You are. Like, I've seen the video, and mate, the content is incredible.
Yeah, no, to be fair, what you said, the lads make it really easy for me as well. When I went to Nigeria, the first day, everyone was like, Will, are you the Cycling GK now? That was like kind of what came across. Like, even people that don't even play in England, so that shows where you're at, mate, at the moment. And then I was like, I want to do this, guys. And obviously, like, feel free if you want to say anything, whatever. And then within like the first 24 hours, 48 hours. Next thing I know, every time I pulled it out, someone was trying to like get their head into the back of it. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Watching some of the footage, I just couldn't believe it.
And the boys are just amazing, yeah.
They're like so into it.
Receptive.
And like, it's obviously a different culture when you go away with a Nigerian team, but you can see when you watch the video what a special country and group of lads.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the one thing that I kind of wanted to bring across, because I'm 28 and I'm one of the oldest in the team. So a lot of the boys are like 20, like between 20 and 24. And for me, it's like a group of superstars is about to like come out of our team. And I'm not talking about myself, but other players that I'm playing with, because we've got like Victor Osimhen last year was sold to Napoli for 80 million euros. It was like the most expensive African player of all time. 21 years old. 5 years ago was selling water in traffic in Lagos, or like 5 or 6 years ago. His story is unbelievable. Like, I admire the kid, and he's my teammate, and he's a lethal striker.
In the next vlog, can we get a little sit down with him? You're
I'm going to chat to him. Yeah, I'm going to chat to him.
Love this.
And none of the boys are camera shy. They love it all. Snapchat, dancing, like all of it is like so natural that I'm probably the most like level. They call me like the dad of the group sometimes. So it's like, for me to capture it, I wanted to share that with other people, and if anything, also capture it for myself, because these are like moments and like years I'm never going to get back. Yeah. So I thought, why don't I just get on here, like share this with people, and I just let them be themselves. So I just try and like obviously share as much as I can with you guys, but it is literally just like what the guys get up to normally. So it's day-to-day life, what we do in the camp, how we travel, what we eat, what the training's like. Even the teammates of Watford have been asking me, "Oh, what's the pitches like in Africa? What's it like when you play for Nigeria?"
Wants to know.
Everybody wants to know.
Do you know what? The videos I put out, we're used to that, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like, we're used to that, and I think a lot of people have seen it and been like, "Oh, that's what it is. Like, that's the hotels you stay in. That's like the travel. That's the food and stuff like that." I'm watching your video and I'm going, "Oh my god, look! Like, they're on the coach. The bit where you're on the coach and you pan the camera to the side." Fans are everywhere. Yeah. They are bonkers, aren't they? Yeah. They are absolutely everywhere. You've got a police escort in front of you, just barging people out the way, cars out the way, and you're in your coach. You're sat at the front of it, like the captain's kind of. It's incredible, mate. Like, say, I honestly don't think there's anybody that could bring as good a behind-the-scenes content vlogged in the style that you do it as you for this new channel.
And you've now got World Cup qualifiers, aren't you? So you're deep into you're vlogging World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing now. So the obviously what you guys have just seen with the first game, that was the first game of our campaign for the 2022 Qatar World Cup. So we've got those coming up again now in in October and in November. And then in January, we've got AFCON, which is obviously an amazing tournament. Last time we got bronze, we got to the semi-final, lost in the last minutes to get to Algeria. So I want to capture all of that. Like I said, for myself, but to share with everyone, because I just feel like there's just so many moments of magic. And when I think back in my time of like the World Cup and things like that, I wish I already did it then.
Yeah,
but it was before the whole GoPro
like
time, wasn't
even
it?
for you personally, it's like capturing
a diary. It's like a visual diary.
It's a visual diary.
Look back on what you did.
Yeah, of course. I wish I'd have had some bits and bobs. But I think so. Right, let me just let you all know as well. So the first episode went out a couple of days ago, Thursday. Today we're recording this podcast, and then the second one is out on Tuesday, maybe. I think, but either way,
Tuesday.
Literally within the next week or so, all three parts of his first international break from last couple weeks ago.
I want to see a World Cup vlog.
I want to see it, mate.
And if you need a fan cam, like at the World Cup, someone with a GoPro, just to bear me in mind.
But it's world class, mate.
You and Dan are gonna have to find out.
100%.
Yeah, fan cam away. Come on, I want to see that.
I'll be Dan's assistant.
Yeah,
I'll carry his back.
Cool, you're going to get burnt. You're pasty as you like. You're going to get proper burnt out there. You are. Well, I love it, mate. King Ekong, what an idea, mate. It's going to be belting, mate. It's groundbreaking. Seriously, no one's ever done this before on an international level. I'm buzzing for you, mate. It's going to be massive. Will Troost Ekong, thank you for coming in today. That was, how good was that? Brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyable, mate. You speak so well, honestly. I'm buzzing for you, mate, and your story is incredible. So thanks for coming in.
Thanks,
just quickly, can we say about this shirt, Will? So you have bought this in today to give this away, okay? Look down that camera there and tell the people how they can win it.
That camera.
That one.
Okay, that one there. Sorry.
So guys, you can win this amazing shirt, match worn, everything, by. Foz's not going to like this. You're going to have to subscribe to King Ekong. That's what you're going to have to do.
That's what we want to do.
Subscribe to my new YouTube channel, and then obviously at the podcast, let everybody know what you thought about this podcast, any thoughts and anything, any ideas that you have for King Ekong. And you get a chance to win that shirt. So Foz can choose who you can give it away to, but make sure you follow me, guys.
Boom. So that's
comment on the video.
Comment on the video.
But I'll put a link to Will's King Ekong
everywhere.
YouTube channel, literally at the bottom of this video. Click on it, go subscribe. We'll pick one new lucky subscriber at random. You will win this bad boy. Amazing, mate. We always finish. We didn't do any icebreakers today. Don't worry about it. Anyway, we always finish every Fozcast by saying up the Fozcast.
Up the Fozcast.
Up King Kong. Up the Fozcast.
Yes.
Love it, mate.
I love it, mate.
Wicked.
Baltin, well done, mate.
Guitar